Is corporate branding important as we're trying to build business brands? Should we be spending more time and focus on this? Is this the new digital moat in the AI era? Would you be now trying to build out corporate brands?
Me personally, I just don't like corporate brands. I think they're fucking shitty. But I think overall, corporate brands is going to argue with that point. I'm not a very corporate guy, but yeah, I think absolutely, you know, for everything you're trying to achieve from a business perspective, whether you're trying to sell or whatever, building a big corporate brand and, you know, sell it out for 500 million or whatever's going to be massive for, you know, that's the dream. But, you know, building a big corporate brand is very similar to a personal brand, but also everything else that goes into SEO, building a corporate brand, you know, all of the data, the traffic and everything else that we've already spoke about on previous sessions all goes into that. And you know, even the CTR and all of that kind of stuff goes in to it feeds into all of that as well. So I think absolutely, you know, the realistic goal for you if you were starting a new business would be to build an entity like that where you can fuck off and you know, retire with £1 billion buyout, hopefully, or whatever it would be. I think that would be the dream. And I think that's anyone's dream, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I would say it was on like business branding. I quite like the idea of James Dooley, personal brand, is the founder of Fat Rank business brand. James Dooley, personal brand, is the founder of Promocio business brand, and trying to build the business brand out to kind of promote them back the personal brand. But I do get where you're coming from, and we've spoken about this off air with regards to you start looking at personal branding versus corporate or business branding, and like you look at, let's say, Elon Musk versus Tesla. And Elon Musk is way bigger than Tesla. Then you look at Richard Branson versus Virgin, and Richard Branson is way bigger than Virgin. You're looking at Cristiano Ronaldo versus every single Premier League football club. He's got more followers than all of them combined.
Yeah.
So the personal brands and what you've done with personal branding is insane, and it can build businesses. But I still do try to go, what can I do? And this is where sometimes I get FOMO and shiny object syndrome. You go in, what's the return on investment of building that business branding as well? But I'm like trying to define that entity.
But no, so here's the thing, no one's going to buy Craig Campbell SEO.
Yeah.
They're not. I mean, once I'm gone, it's gone. I think, anyway. So I think the right way is to build that and exit. You know, you've always got to have that exit strategy as well. So I think leveraging your like Cristiano Ronaldo could go and launch a perfume tomorrow, you know, and it would blow massively, and you know, using his personal brand. So I think using your personal brand to leverage into that, and with a view to potentially selling some of your brands off, or you know, whatever, and taking yourself out of them. Because I think I've been stupid where, you know, I just ran into it because Matthew Woodward was doing the personal branding thing at the time, so it wasn't anything I thought about. And then after that, you're like, I've seen people selling agencies, I've seen people selling this, that, and they've been able to detach themselves, and you know, it's the business that's been bought rather than the person. So I think you are setting yourself up for a bit of failure solely relying on a personal brand. But obviously Cristiano Ronaldo would also argue my personal brand's everything. It's made me what I am, and about 10 other businesses. I mean, he's probably involved in a lot more than 10, but whatever other businesses he's involved in, he's leveraged his personal brand in a massive, massive way. And obviously guys at that level, you know, they're probably going to be even richer dead than they are alive. You know, like Michael Jackson, whether the rumours are true or not, was borderline broke when he died. And now, because he's dead and the royalties and everything else, and, you know, he's worth more dead than he is alive. So, and I think the same will go for Ronaldo and stuff like that. But for us, where we're nowhere near that level, our personal brand dies when we die.
So with that then, like, so with regards to so we're saying that business brands is very important, because if you're beginning with the end in mind, you're looking to sell the asset, which is the business. You want to build that business brand. So someone watching this that says, okay, well, I've got my website. Is that enough to have as a brand? And obviously we're going to be saying, no, you need to build everything around it, like the whole moat around who you are, what you do, and why you're freaking brilliant. And I think that repeating of the entity, so like I'll start off with citations, like business listings. Every business that's got an address should go and get as many name, address, and phone number NAP listings on the internet as possible, repeating who they are and what they do with the NAP listing. What other things would you say for like entity stacking, some people call it, or trying to define the entity and improve the entity to build a business brand online? What other things would you do? Was there any like social media accounts or for the brand, not for personal, but for the business brand? What else would you be doing to try to grow the corporate and business brand online?
All that stuff, like the knowledge panels, even just the social platforms, the podcasting platform, like again, the list's endless. Like, again, you're going to grow all of that out because these are all assets to the business. So, if you've got hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram and everything else, your brand, that's adding value to your brand because you're not just selling the e-commerce store and everything else. You're saying, no, we've got a mailing list of 500,000. We're also selling the social media that generates X, Y, and Z. That all adds to your multiple and strengthens your position to sell that because you're not just selling the profit and loss of that business. You're selling other assets there that are only ever going to be able to grow if they're utilized properly. So all of that kind of stuff you want to be building and like we both know, whether it's a corporate brand or a personal brand, it's very, very similar. You want your knowledge panels, you want this, you want that. Google needs those trust signals as well because websites don't rank as well without a person or whatever behind these things. So I think there's knowledge panels, there's just podcasting, feeding the LLMs and everything else that goes into that. All the transcriptions and the stuff that you're doing with your podcasts, it's all LLM feeding. It's all just future growth and future proofing the business.
I think a couple of things that's worked really well for me is getting the Crunchbase. That was a really, really powerful one. Another one is for each of my podcast series on IMDb. Not only do I create the IMDb for me personally and for the podcast, I create the companies that I'm attached to, as long as it's relevant to what the podcasts are about, are the distribution companies.
Yeah.
So like on UK Lead Generation podcast, I'm saying that FatRank is the distribution company. And that then creates a page on IMDb, which is a really trusted signal. And I can put same as schema and I can link through to the FatRank website and stuff like that. And then if you're writing a book, you can have the company, whether it's FatRank or Promo Show or whatever the business brands that I'm attached to. I could say, okay, that's the publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's things. So I'm just trying to find different ways of how I can connect those nodes together and those entities together to try to, okay, that powers up that, which powers up this, and this is connected to that and stuff like that. And I think it has very much changed a lot more into being like an entity-based algorithm.
Yeah, it is. Like, obviously, if anyone doesn't watch what Dooley's doing, you see him cleverly getting people in podcasts and tying himself to those people in that industry. I always joke, you were getting photographs with people, and I'm like, I know you don't even fucking like that guy. You're getting a photo of him for, or woman, like because I'm tying this and tying that and mentioning them in LinkedIn and and you're like, right, I see exactly what you're fucking doing here. And I was only joking when I said I don't like that guy, but you're like, he's not really your pal though. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not doing this just because you're all mate and you're doing it your Instagram post. You're like, I see what you're doing here, and you're joining all of those dots, which obviously we know through Crunchbase, LinkedIn profiles, social media profiles, IMDb, and everything else. You're connecting all of those entities together and tying yourself to other people in your industry. I know you're not friends with Neil Patel, but would you have him in your podcast? You'd go, absolutely, because you might have already had him on. I don't know if you have him already. So I go, right, I know you two are not mates. You stay here and he's in fucking America. You're not bosom buddies. But why would you have him on? One, he's got a massive following. I think he's a very smart guy. But two, and probably more importantly for you, going, I'm tying me to him. So, for me, from the outside looking in, I'm going, that's what this motherfucker's doing.
Yeah.
Cleverly doing it, by the way. And I think
but you can do that as well with businesses. You can, like, if you look up to a business and go, I want to be like them.
Mm-hmm.
You can, with listicles and other things like that, you could be appending your entity to their entity, which then starts within the vector database and stuff like that, that it starts to make you more and more closer and overlap with the company that you want to look like. I think it's key. I think like connecting those nodes and stuff, the entities together, I think is really, really key for business branding. I think it's...
you've got to do it, and it's a slog again. It's not just that I can't sit here and say, do it, and you can do it for 200 quid a month. All of that stuff takes, again, time, effort, man hours, just being in podcasts with people that you might not even have anything in common with, and you're like, I need time myself with that person because they're a big player and manage.
So on that, I've spoke about there, like listicles and connecting yourself to other entities. To build to build a business brand or a corporate brand, would you recommend the business owners to be doing press releases of, let's say, awards that they might have won, reviews, or like that they've just had a record month and stuff like that for the business?
Absolutely. Especially in our space, right? We can't put out a press release going, Dooley ranked another lead gen fucking locksmith fucking website or whatever. Press are not fucking into it. No one's even interested in reading that pish. So, you have to make up stuff like record-breaking months or stuff that's a bit more newsworthy and more exciting, even if, it's inflated slightly or whatever. I think, you always want to, I'm not saying do a press release every month or anything, but again, it's probably very, very wise to do that. And you just get brand mentions and everything else out there. And I think all of these things are hugely important from a Google trust and ranking perspective as well. So, saying you won awards, saying you've done this and saying you've done that is absolutely the right thing to do, especially in an industry like ours where there's not a huge amount of exciting, newsworthy stuff that we do. You bought an old domain name, you've done some canonical abuse and done this and done that. It's not getting in the press. And you don't want to tell people exactly what you're doing anyway. So it has to come from what else can we say. And in our industry, it's a lot of awards and other.
So I've got a contentious one here, like if one that could split decisions of being like, what would you do here, right? So business owners looking and they're saying, you chatting on about reviews, testimonials, which I can get, even though they're hard to get from my existing customers. I can get them on my Google business profile. I can build that part out. Case studies. I've got loads of case studies. I can let the before and after photos, attach the testimonial to that case study. Brilliant. I can build that part out. So business owner says, I can do all that, not a problem. But awards. Majority of industries don't have awards being given out willy-nilly. Mm-hmm. And just randomly in the post, you go and get a big trophy sent through going, well done, you're the best plumber in Manchester, right? However, there's certain places where they might go and send you an email through and say, we've got an awards night next Friday. For £1,000, you can attend and you get 5 people and you get a meal. And by the way, if you do buy this table, you win the best plumber in Manchester award. Should business owners be looking to do that? Because we know the importance of awards. And if you're not doing that, then you're not winning the awards, which then means for the part of reputation query fan out, you don't tick that box.
No, that's what the fucking chambers of commerce do. Do you know what I mean? That's the exact pitch they give you. And, it's everyone who's paid for that table, whether it be a grand or whatever, that wins the awards. They're just not telling you that you're going to win the award. They can't say that, but they're kind of saying it. And, one, from an SEO perspective, you get the nice link from a powerful website, which is obviously a good link that would cost you a couple of $100 anyway. But the PR and the other stuff that all goes round about it and the noise and social media and everything you create and the selfies at the awards and all that kind of proof that you were there and you actually won an award, even whether it's horse shit or not. Absolutely. I think all of these things are important. It doesn't matter what industry you look at. You've got the builders, the SEOs, the whatever's out there, and even like when it goes to sports, that BBC Personality of the Year, the person that wins that every year's fucking not got a personality, arguably. But it's nice for them to have their day out and everyone's spending a few quid and get nice new suits and getting their selfies and their photographs and the red carpet treatment. It's a fucking day out, for people to get fucking drunk and network with their old sports buddies that, you know, that award's not worth a fucking shit otherwise. But they're getting links, they're getting press, they're getting everything else that goes along with it. And you're going to take it. So it's no different really from niche to niche. So that's kind of how I view it. And sorry for any BBC sports personality people who might watch that. You might see, no, that's fucking the creme de la creme. Even the Ballon d'Or, you know, they're all going to Dubai and fucking swanking about there and all that. I know they probably do care. There's a bit of ego involved in football, but realistically, that's another fucking piss up. Do you know what I mean? And you know, it's never the right guy that wins it, is it? Well, I'm not going to say anything about Messi or Ronaldo, but it's always debatable with some of the other guys that have won it. Going, that's fucking got to be rigged. Somebody's fucking slipped somebody a few bob there, or bought a bigger table or whatever it might be, and got the award. So I'm kind of sceptical.
But you would then for businesses, though. You would actually,
absolutely. I've done it.
Yeah,
I mean, I've won.
I think you have to. I think otherwise you're not getting the awards, and it's not you that's done the like. They're basically saying, we want you to attend, by the way, to have this table. And by the way, you've won this award. It's not, you've not done anything wrong. It's the award. If anyone's done anything wrong, it's the award people that...
I tell you what, I'll go one step further. See, if there was no award in my fucking industry, I would make one myself.
Yeah.
And just to do the PR and get the links.
I think it's needed. You need to get your mum to award that you're the best SEO.
I don't even know she would agree with that. But nah, you see it happening, and why not?
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, I hope you like the episode on business brands and is it important to grow out in 2026. There's another episode about is personal branding important in the blog section. Craig, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, buddy.